Welcome to our live training session. We're going to be taking a look at how to calibrate and tune a Honda K24 engine with individual throttle bodies using a Fuel Tech engine management system. Let's jump into some details about our demo vehicle we're using for filming in our training series. We're going to find our EP3 chassis has been swapped with a K24 engine and paired with a 6-speed transmission. Now the K24 engine is built. We have upgraded valve train, OEM K20 cams, a 50-degree VTC gear. On the bottom end, we have 12.5:1 compression pistons paired with aftermarket connecting rods, as well as a Type S oil pump. Now on the intake side of things, we have Kinsler 64mm individual throttle bodies, RDX 410cc injectors. The in-tank fuel pump has been upgraded as well. On the exhaust side of things, we have a race header paired to a 2 3/8 inch exhaust. Now we're also going to be integrating a 0 to 100 psi fuel pressure sensor as well. We're going to learn how to calibrate and tune all this on petrol fuel. Let's jump into our Fuel Tech software so we can begin creating our base map and starting our tuning process. Welcome to our live training session with our Honda EP3 Civic. Now we just went over all of the details and modifications that have been done to our test vehicle. Let's jump into our FT Manager software to learn how to create and start our base map process. So this is going to be going in this training module over the setup details, configuring the inputs and outputs, how my vehicle has been wired, and then testing everything and verifying it works. The next training module, we're going to be continuing on with our base map creation process and then looking at how to set up the 2-dimensional and 3-dimensional tables so that they're going to be relevant for tuning in an alpha N strategy. Because we have the individual throttle bodies fitted to our engine, the calibration process is a little bit different than a typical single throttle body with intake manifold configuration. And that's going to be traditional map-based speed density style tuning. The alpha N uses throttle position. So a little bit different. We'll be taking a look at both examples on this vehicle, actually changing some parts and doing this calibration process completely separate. So we'll be looking at alpha N throughout this training series, and then we'll be doing a traditional speed density map pressure based calibration and tuning in the next live training series with our vehicle here using our Fuel Tech. So let's jump in right now. We're going to actually go in and create a brand new file and set everything up specific for my vehicle here. Now, your inputs and outputs are likely to not be the same. I've built my custom jumper harness here, so I'm using an OEM harness that's going to the engine and to the rest of the chassis. I simply made a bridge harness from the OEM ECU plugs to the Fuel Tech. So I know what my inputs and outputs are going to be, and I have them documented in an Excel sheet. I actually took all of the information that was really pertinent for this training module and just created a quick notepad so we can refer to that with setting everything up. So we're going to be jumping into how to do that here in this training module. Let's jump in here and let's work with a generic file, and then we'll start to modify everything from that point. All right, let's move in here. We're going to go up to the top under our file, and then we're going to go here under new. This allows us to start with a new file. Now, once I'm completed doing all of the tuning and calibrating with this vehicle, so we'll have a tuned map, I'll actually be supplying that in the training course, in the training course library. It'll be in a separate folder where you can just download it right from the website and then start with that specific file that you know is going to be relevant for a Honda K series engine and alpha N strategy, and give you a better starting point. But for right now, we're going to start with a new and look at this entire process from start to finish. All right, so I'm going to go here to new in my FT Manager software, and it's going to ask me a bunch of questions and what we want to do here, setting up certain features and functions. So looking at our ECU model, I have an FT550, so I'm going to go ahead and select this option. My vehicle mode is combustion. It's not an electric or a hybrid. Now in the fuel tables, there's O2 closed loop, gear-based compensation, and gear change compensation. I absolutely want to use O2 closed loop. This will look at the wideband signal that we're feeding into the Fuel Tech and allow us to make adjustments and corrections based on an air fuel target. This just improves our fueling day to day, and it also aids us in our calibrating and tuning process, as we'll find as we go through our live training sessions here. So we want to have that toggled on. Now, I'm not going to do anything with gear-based compensations or gear change compensations. In this case, I don't have a vehicle speed sensor wired into my Fuel Tech. That's on my list of things to actually do. In order to determine gear, we're going to either need a gear position sensor or we have to have vehicle speed in order for the Fuel Tech to calculate gear. So I'm going to leave these unchecked. Now, ignition tables, we see gear base compensation, gear change compensation. I'm going to go ahead and make sure they're unchecked again. I don't have a gear reference. Now, drag features. I'm actually going to turn everything off right now just so I can focus on doing my fuel, spark, and variable cam calibration process with my engine, and then I can go ahead and turn these features on at a later point in time. So I'm going to go make sure I toggle off two-step rev limiter, so we're going to get that out of the way. Now, the other functions option, we do want to have certain things checked on because we do want to set up various features and functions to properly calibrate and tune our Honda K24 engine. So the internal data logger we will leave on. The deceleration fuel cut, I'm going to turn that off right now, but it's something I recommend to run once you've calibrated everything properly. So you've dialed your fuel table in, your spark timing table. The deceleration fuel cut definitely saves fuel in lift throttle overrun situations. So we're likely to want to have that toggled on, but we're going to turn it off for right now. I absolutely want to have a rev limiter in place. I don't want to over rev my engine. I have one cooling fan for this particular vehicle wired into the FT550. I'm going to make sure I have that checked on here. Now, I don't have air conditioning configured, although the vehicle is equipped with air conditioning. That's something I haven't wired in, so I'm not going to go do anything with air conditioning. We do want to have fuel pump toggled on because, in this case, the FT550 is controlling the fuel pump relay to turn on the fuel pump in the vehicle, so we absolutely want to have that on. Now, we do have variable camshaft VTEC option for this K24 engine, so we want to turn that on. And we go down here a little bit further, there's a generic duty cycle control, and this is something I actually want to have on here because I have a reverse lockout for my 6-speed transmission. In order to turn on the reverse lockout mechanism, we need to use a duty cycle based control, and we'll talk about how to configure all of that a little bit later. Looking down our list here, we're going to find, let's see what others is going to be relevant here. Variable camshaft VVT control we absolutely have on a K-Series engine. We want to take advantage of that because it gives us a broader mid-range and overall power band out of our engine. Now, there is a flex fuel option. I do have a flex fuel sensor installed in my fuel system and actually have it wired into my FT550 module. However, I'm not going to turn it on right now. We're not going to talk about doing flex fuel based tuning in this training module. When we look at the next live training session or series with traditional map pressure, a single throttle body, it's going to be drive-by-wire, and a normal common plenum intake manifold, I will be doing a flex fuel based tune there and demonstrating that process from start to finish. So for right now, I'm going to leave this off, but it is something we will be covering. Looking down here a little bit further in our list, there is a TAC output. We definitely want to have that enabled. And looking here if there's anything else that's going to be relevant for features or functions. I'm not going to turn anything else on. I don't think anything else here is going to be super relevant. Engine settings, we'll leave ignition toggled on. Sensors and calibration, I don't have any of these options. And the interface RPM, LED shift light, that's going to be grayed out. We're not going to check that. So this is going to be the beginning portion of our new calibration and starting off and building everything here. So let's click next. Thanks for checking out our teaser clip. If you want to see the rest of this video and more than 500 hours of current EFI training we have to offer, make sure you click right here. If you want to go and check out more teaser clips from this training course, click here. And you don't want to miss any of the videos we're going to be releasing on this channel, so make sure you subscribe and click here. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later.